Two tweets that could do lasting damage to President Trump.
Yeah, his latest twit fit, if you will, aimed at a cable anchor, is threatening to further erode his support by women and fellow Republicans, just as he's now trying to deliver on key promises on health care, taxes, and immigration.
KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with the latest. Dave?
Yeah, and the tweet, believe it or not, may have some really significant political fallout as well. This should have been a great day for President Trump, but it was sabotaged by his tweets that blew away all the serious legislative progress and has set off a firestorm of criticism and heated debate about whether this tweet and others are misogynist and inappropriate, especially coming from the President of the United States. On a day when President Trump had plenty of legislative achievements to celebrate, an energy initiative he's pushing, the House passing a bill attacking sanctuary cities, and his travel ban finally going into effect, all of this was pushed aside by a controversial tweet he sent out around 6 a.m. this morning Pacific time. Even as he waited later at the White House entrance to greet the president of South Korea, the first shouted reporter question was not about the crisis in North Korea.
Mr. President, do you regret your tweets this morning at all?
What trumped the president's victories was his own tweet, blasting the MSNBC Morning Joe program anchors Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough. Low IQ crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, he called them, adding that they insisted on visiting him at his Mar-a-Lago resort around New Year's Eve, and she was bleeding badly from a facelift. Here's a photo of them. On the Thursday morning show, Brzezinski ridiculed Trump for showing off fake Time magazine covers featuring his picture on the walls at Mar-a-Lago.
Nothing makes a man feel better than making a fake cover of a magazine about himself, lying every day and destroying the country. Oh, well, he's covering his hands here because they're teensy.
But it was the Trump tweet response that triggered an immediate negative reaction, even from Republicans.
Obviously, I don't see that as an appropriate comment. I think, look, what we're trying to do around here is improve the tone and the civility of the debate, and this obviously doesn't help do that.
Frankly, I was stunned by it. For the President of the United States, the greatest country of the world, the person who is representing our country, to use that kind of language, it's just so inappropriate, and it simply has to stop.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein says this was an attack on all women.
I'm appalled. This is the President of the United States. You don't do things like that. You don't attack women. We're half of his constituency.
After the Trump tweet, Brzezinski fired back with a tweet of this imaginary cereal box mocking his hands. But at the White House, Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders mounted a spirited defense of the Trump tweet, charging that the president is the victim of vicious attacks, not his tweet targets.
It's kind of like we're living in the twilight zone. They do this day after day after day, and then the president responds and defends himself, and everybody is appalled and blown away. And I think that the president has been attacked mercilessly on personal accounts by members on that program. And I think he's been very clear that when he gets attacked, he's going to hit back.
Sanders rejecting suggestions that it's undignified for the President of the United States to be sending out such personally vitriolic tweets.
I think that he shows that every day in the decisions that he's making, the focus and the priorities. The only person that I see a war on is this president and everybody that works for him.
When it comes to insulting women's looks and boorish behavior, this is not Trump's first rodeo. During the presidential debates, candidate Trump bristled at questions from Megyn Kelly about his attitude toward women.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
There was blood coming out of her eyes. Blood coming out of her wherever.
And then there was the audio of Trump bragging about grabbing women's private parts without their permission.
Grab them by the I could do anything.
And during the campaign, Trump never hesitated to make disparaging remarks about the appearance of Carly Fiorina and Hillary Clinton. Now, First Lady Melania Trump released a statement about the tweet controversy through a spokeswoman defending her husband, the president, by saying when he gets attacked, he will punch back 10 times harder. Keep in mind, Mrs. Trump has pledged that as First Lady, she will launch a campaign against cyberbullying. So that's where we stand right now.
So, Dave, this latest tweet storm, is this going to be short-lived, or does this have legs, you think?
You know, it's always hard to know when these things are, how long-lasting, or are they going to blow over. In many respects, it really points up how Trump's own tweets are his worst enemy. Today, perfect example. He should have been having a celebration party in the Rose Garden about the House passing the immigration bills and the travel ban finally going into effect. But all of that was blown away by the Trump tweet attack, which dominated the news cycle. Because of that distraction, the ugly tweet has alienated several members of the president's own party. And at a time when the bulk of the party's legislative initiative is still hanging in the balance, that is not good news. If the president's tweets turn off most Americans, that may not bode well for the next 3 years. Jeff?